Welcome to Speaking from Experience. My name is Rohan, and this is the weekly podcast where I talk about my experiences working in the digital marketing space over the last 10 years, and more importantly, over the last 1 year working at Google. I will talk about the ups and downs throughout my career, about love, relationships, family, money, and a whole lot more. So I really hope you enjoy the episodes you're going to hear. I have poured my heart and soul into them. If you do like the content, please share and subscribe to the podcast. What's up, guys? So today we're going to talk about personal branding and how it shaped my career over the last couple of years. And I'll also tell you why personal branding is important and why adopting a few tactics to develop your personal brand early on in your career can be life-changing. If you're like me, you want to leave a lasting mark and a legacy at every organization that you work for and every task that you start. One such example was when I used to work for a big telecom provider in their digital marketing team, and the telecom provider wanted a way to attract more profitable customers by growing the basket value of every order that a customer placed on their website. So I thought out of the box and use my knowledge of machine learning and digital marketing and work with the machine learning team to build an algorithm that scouted more profitable customers based on customers who had previously bought goods on their website. This helped the company grow their profits, but it also helped me solidify my role as an expert in digital marketing and someone who could bridge the gap between a technical field like machine learning or data science with digital marketing. So let's start with today's episode and my tips for you to build your own personal brand. I remember in the good old 2008s, applying for a job was a lot harder and a lot more cumbersome than it is today. Nowadays, everyone can literally go to LinkedIn, look for a job, hit the apply button, and the next thing you know, your resume is in the hands of a recruiter. Back in the day, when LinkedIn didn't exist, or rather when LinkedIn was up and coming, you actually had to go to this website called Craigslist, which a lot of people my age would know as the classifieds website. So yeah, you had to go to this website called Craigslist, go through every listing over there, and then manually apply for each and every job with long cover letter and a customized resume. Look, things haven't changed as much in the LinkedIn world, but things have become a lot easier. So in today's digital world, use your digital footprint as an extension of yourself. Move away from just having a hard copy of a resume that you can hand to your prospective employer to actually building out your digital presence on websites like LinkedIn. This is invaluable. In today's world, where most jobs that people do require you to be on the computer in some shape or form, having a LinkedIn profile or a profile on any online job website like Seek or Indeed is an absolute necessity. So set one up before you start looking for work. If you already have one, these are the 4 things that you should be doing to your LinkedIn profile to make you stand out. LinkedIn has a really handy feature which allows people to leave you recommendations for the work that you have done for them. So use the feature, ask them for recommendations. This feature does not replace the requirements for a background check or the recruiter talking to your recommendations once you actually land the job, but it does tell a prospective recruiter that you are creditable and gives them an idea of the kind of work that you do. So be proactive, and when you do a good job, make sure to ask your peers or your manager for recommendations. This is particularly handy once you leave the organization, because the more years you spend away from an organization, the more people tend to forget you. So once that recommendation is on your LinkedIn profile, that's not going anywhere, even if you lose contact with the person who actually gave you that recommendation. The third thing that you can do is let recruiters know that you're open to new roles. If you go to your LinkedIn settings, you should be able to find an option that allows you to tell recruiters that you're open to new roles without actually telling your current employer or broadcasting to your current employer that you're looking for a new job. This is a very handy feature. And sometimes when you're still undecided on whether you want to switch your job or not, it might be good to just switch this feature on and see if any recruiters proactively reach out to you for any prospective jobs that your profile might fit. Last thing that I did to actually fully use my LinkedIn profile was I uploaded a PDF version, or you can even upload a Word document, but I uploaded a PDF version of my most recent resume. This not only gives recruiters access to your resume without them actually having to reach out to you, but it also shows them that you're keen to get a job and gives them the most recent and up-to-date experience that you've had. If you want me to do an episode on how to optimize your LinkedIn profile and make the most out of it, let me know in the comments below. If you're a designer or work in the creative field, it might be handy to actually include links of websites that you've worked on, or a link to your portfolio, or upload your work on an Instagram account. Make sure to include those links in your LinkedIn profile, especially when you're writing out descriptions of your roles. This allows recruiters and prospective employers to actually have access to your portfolio and all of the work that you've done without needing to reach out to you first. This allows you to remain ahead of the pack and to stand out from your competition. If you need to create a website to showcase your work, you can use websites like Square, where it's really easy to set up a website and you can literally have it up and running within a few minutes, and you don't even need to have coding experience. I have left the link to Square in the description of the podcast. Now, these are a few things that you can do at your job today to establish your personal branding within the organization that you're working at. Working in search has given me enough opportunities to produce content and to write blogs, because a lot of times when you're working in a digital marketing agency and you have a client that you're building up from an SEO perspective, 99% of the times, there should be a blog somewhere in the mix to grow their brand. This is a great opportunity for you to get involved and for you to get your hands dirty, because you can offer the client to do that work, or you can find blog writing gigs on websites like Fiverr and Upwork to grow your digital footprint and to actually start producing blog articles. The way I went about writing blogs was I started writing articles on LinkedIn and on Medium, and that allowed me to write about whatever I wanted to write about and not be restricted by certain guidelines that a client may put on you. But that's another way that you could start off today. It's free, and if you can build up a viewership over there, you can even make a second income stream out of it. When I was new in my role, in fact, even till today, I do run a few lunch and learn sessions, whether it's me presenting or one of my colleagues presenting to the wider group. As long as you learn to organize lunch and learns. It can be beneficial for you to do that to establish yourself as an expert in a field. For example, when I started at Google, I ran a lunch and learn about agile project delivery, and that was something really new for my team at Google, and we are using it in some shape or form till today. Lunch and learn sessions are great because they allow you to share your experience with other people, and it allows you to also learn from other people. One of my first lunch and learns at my current job was on habits, and in the lunch and learn, I basically told them about this book that I was reading at that time, which was called Atomic Habits. By the way, if you guys haven't read that book, it's awesome. It's changed my life. So I told my colleagues about that book and how it teaches you to break habits and develop new ones. And this really resonated with the group, and they all liked the content, but now they also come to me for advice on developing habits, which is a bit strange, but it solidified my place as sort of an expert in the group on habits. So do as many lunch and learns as possible and share your knowledge wherever you can. I have built a few teams from the ground up over the last few years that I've worked in digital marketing, and trust me when I say I have seen my fair share of resumes come through for all of the roles that I've recruited in the past. The ones that have actually stood out to me are the ones where people have done something different, whether it is a different design or whether it's a different approach to a resume. Those are the ones who I have predominantly called back, provided they checked off all of the minimum required boxes and showed that they actually deserve to be called back for the interviews. One such example was of this person who used YouTube and created a video resume and talked about why they would be perfect for the role. The role was of a social media marketing manager, and the very fact that they knew their way around YouTube and also explained in the video their experience with Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn marketing made them a more appealing candidate for me to hire than any of the other ones who had just sent a paper resume. So use technology to your advantage, especially if you're going for a role in digital marketing, which definitely requires you to be tech savvy and to understand new tools because our landscape is changing all the time. Let's say you are a data scientist, and if you are going for a role, I would encourage you to actually send a sample of your work or any of the models that you had made in an email, if it's possible, to the recruiter or to the people who are interviewing you prior to the date of interview, so that they actually know what kind of work to expect from you if they do end up hiring you at the end of the day. Another thing that's key is the length of your resume. This absolutely grinds my gears when people send 5 or 6 pages of a resume for a job application. People who get hundreds of job applications don't have the time to actually go through 5 or 6 pages of a resume. A lot of times they'll just skim through the first page and will usually focus on the last couple of job positions that you've held and not even move forward. So try to condense your resume if you can to 2 pages, because people have really short attention spans, especially when they're interviewing people. If you are in a more research-oriented field and need to have your publications on the resume, you can, but make sure that you have all of the important information. Your last few job positions, your education, your degree, and maybe any kind of recommendations that you might have. on the first 2 pages of the resume. The last thing that I'm going to talk about is probably one of the most overlooked things when it comes to creating your digital footprint. And it's actually protecting that digital footprint that you've worked so hard to create. Now, what I mean by protecting is essentially the equivalent of wearing proper clothes to your interview. Let me explain. In my early days, when I had initially started giving interviews, I got into this weird habit of actually Googling my name right before I went to the interview. And this was really eye-opening. There were pictures of me from fraternity parties. There were pictures of me from my 15-year-old High Five and MySpace account, which obviously could have an impact on whether somebody gave me a job or not. So what I did was that I cleaned up some of those accounts, maybe removed some of the scandalous pictures on my profile, and essentially just made my social profiles work approved and ready to get a job. I would highly suggest anyone trying to find a job right now in today's day and age where everyone's Facebook profiles are pretty much accessible to look at what comes up when you search for yourself on Google or Bing or just on Facebook, and to see what kind of pictures, what kind of content actually comes up, whether you are associated with content that you don't want to be associated with. Everyone in college joins that one random group which they definitely don't agree with or resonate with anymore once they have spent a few years adulting. So my suggestion would be to clean up all of those things, because any prospective employer nowadays, as a part of their background check, do snoop around on social media websites like Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or any other social media website out there. So I hope those tips were helpful for you guys, and I hope you're going to incorporate some of these things while thinking about your digital footprint. Just remember, it is an extension of you, so let your personality shine in your digital footprint. All right, experience seekers, that was it for today's episode. If you liked the content for today, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. And more importantly, spread the word, because the more number of people who listen to the podcast, the more motivated I am to smash out this amazing content.